unfortunately, at the minute, all I see is us probably getting sucked in even further into that little relegation battle, which is ridiculous.
If we don't change something, we'll be genuinely talking about a relegation battle.
If you are Alisson, or if you are the greatest in the world, then sure, like, you can have all the chess you want. You're not. Just shut up and do your job.
And if he wants to go to Milan or somewhere, me and Sonny have got space in the car and we will happily drive him there today. Everyone's highlight reel will be against us.
Aston Villa are in a title race because they shoot from outside the area.
But why does he not let them shoot us? And also,
he talks about percentages. He talks about
this is my problem with modern football.
As soon as we put into Arsenal and we put that stinker of performance in, spineless, weak, pathetic, I was like, no, I'm done, I'm out. I can see the writings on the wall. I'm happy for him to stay for the City game.
A must lose. It is a must lose game.
Tim Sherwood had his gilet on earlier talking about De Zerbi.
Take it off.
Yeah.
De Zerbi, no.
Soon to have Tim Sherwood back.
Oh, that's a bit far.
Yeah. Do you know what? Oh, he's a lovely little salute. Hello and welcome to Inside Spurs, talkSPORT's dedicated Spurs show where we talk all things Tottenham Hotspur. My name's Majestic. Alongside me, as always, is Sonny Snelling from Sonny Talk Spurs, fellow Spurs fan and content creator Abbi Summers, and a special guest this week, the Sun's head of sport and tactics guru on their Tactics Exposed show. He's also a Spurs fan, and you might have seen him explain tactics with Tic Tacs on TikTok. So try saying that 3 times fast now. It's Dean Scoggins. How are we, gang?
Good.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
right, yeah.
God, it's been a quick turnaround since our last show. So we've got someone else in to moan with us. This time with a bit more expertise.
I've run out of energy, that's what it is.
Fresh
And I
blood.
promise I haven't brought my Tic Tacs.
I would have liked to have seen
gutted.
I would have liked to have seen how you broke down the Thomas Frank tactical analysis with the
Absolutely,
Tic Tacs.
yeah. Well, we'll be looking at it again, I think, after tomorrow night. Mate.
Well, I hope someone's shaking their Tic Tacs at that team after the weekend because more points dropped this time to Burnley, who are in the bottom 3. When you put it like that, it doesn't sound great, does it, Sonny?
The script, every time you know what's coming. Annoyingly, I was on a bit of a delay watching it, so every goal was spoiled. But when you see the notification, Burnley take the lead. Lyle Foster, I think Abby, you put it in our group chat, hasn't scored since October. It just sums up the whole club at the moment. It's just an absolute disarray, not much ideas going forward. And just, when you've got the away fans, which we've said this a lot on this show, the away fans represent the hardcore of this fan base. When they're chanting sideways and backwards, ole, Thomas Frank sacked in the morning. Burnley was saying, how rubbish are you? I nearly swore. How rubbish are you? We're winning at home. And we're saying, how rubbish are we? We lose
every week.
I know, yeah, exactly. So it's just such a sorry state. And, what annoys me is looking at that run that we've just gone through, Sunderland, West Ham, Burnley, and you think we needed to get more from that because now we've got City, United, Arsenal, Newcastle. Can't see a win in any of them, really.
Abby, do you want your first rant of the week?
No, do you know what? I think I'm actually past the point of ranting.
You're exhausted.
I'm at this point where, what am I ranting about? I'm just repeating myself. I must be so boring.
Play last week's clip.
Listen to. Literally, just run all the clips back. I just say the same thing every week because nothing's changed. I mean, you just touched on it, Sonny. The teams that we've played in the last month or so, I'm not being funny, they're the teams that we need to beat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say this because I know some people say we're not. We are in a relegation battle, guys. It is a thing. We are, I think, 7 points. Is it 7 points? 8 points?
But just for context, we're also 8 points off top 6. So are we in a relegation battle?
Said that every week,
it really depends how. If you want to look at it as glass half full, glass half empty, I will go with the glass half realistic, which is if I look at the.
There's no glass.
There's no glass.
I've chucked it.
Yeah, just to get rid of the glass. No, realistically, and this is just not to be pessimistic, but if I saw any type of growth, green shoe, something like that, then I'd say, okay, let's try and aim for top 6. But unfortunately, at the minute, all I see is us probably getting sucked in even further into that little relegation battle, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that, again, for this time last year, we're sitting here talking about these kind of things. We're talking about it again with a manager that probably, I don't even want to say is more lost than Ange was at this time last year, but the media seem to give a lot more grace to Thomas Frank than they did.
It's been a disgrace what I've seen some people saying about Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
Lots of name names.
There's a lot of media outlets have done it.
Former players.
Former players. We've got to have time and stick with Thomas Frank. I know that Thomas Frank is a good manager. He did a great job at Brentford. He just doesn't seem to be the right fit for Tottenham Hotspur. As for the players, yes, they come into the factors. Obviously, the board come into the factors. The recruitment we know is a massive problem. There's a whole cluster of crap. Realistically, that's why we're in this situation. But it doesn't mean that the manager is any good. And what everyone did to Ange last year in the media, absolutely ripping him apart when he had 16 injuries as well, seems to me that Thomas Frank gets away with murder.
Yeah, I think in that one, Thomas Frank doesn't bite back as hard as Ange did. Ange did bite back a lot. And, you know, from a journalistic point of view, and I'm going to come to you now about the tactics, you know, Thomas Frank does do that well in the press. He holds himself well, and that's one thing you can say is a positive of his as a manager doing. Yeah,
he has a lot of those journalists with him, I think it's fair to say. Whereas Ange, a lot was made early on of Ange, of him, he didn't do small talk with anybody, with players, with journalists, with staff. And it was almost funny at the beginning, but then Ange went into press conferences and was absolutely brilliant. You know, the content was amazing. Frank's not giving us anything.
He's not even answering the question.
No, it's just going round in circles with the same, you know, we've played well and we've lost by the odd goal. But Sonny's just listed the fixture list there. And as you say, you talk about 8 points from the bottom 3 and 8 points from the top 6. But if we just played Newcastle, Chelsea, City and Arsenal, then you'd go, OK, we've got these next 5 fixtures, we can go there. But unfortunately, it's the other way around. We've had the ones where we should be knocking on the door of the top 6. And I fear that in a month's time, West Ham will be 5 or 6 points closer to us. Forest are going to be 4 or 5 points closer to us. And we will be genuinely, if we don't change something, we'll be genuinely talking about a relegation battle.
He didn't change his tactics this time round from the Champions League victory against Dortmund, so we got to see the 3-4-3 in the Premier League. I thought early on it looked like it was working quite well. We were on the front foot. You know, we had a lot of chances in the first half. We've got to say, the Burnley keeper was tremendous.
Yeah, he was. He was excellent. And they created a lot of chances. He
loves doing it against us all the time. That's done for years.
It's so many players that Tottenham are their favourite club to play against, isn't it? But no, I was calling for the 3-4-3 for a long time. And I did a show between Christmas and New Year about, you know, I don't think Frank can stay unless he changes something. And then finally in the Dortmund game, we saw a change of formation. And look, I'm not some sort of Ruben Amorim apologist for a 3-4-3. But the reason that I wanted Glasner, or I had Glasner at one of the very top of my list to be the new manager when Ange left, is because I believe we've got a squad that suits 3-4-3. And that's almost by accident. There was a crossover with Conte's wing-back system, then an Ange system where your full-backs don't defend and they overlap. And you need 2 sitting midfielders. So there was a bit of crossover in that. So I was delighted to see it against Dortmund. The red card helped, obviously. It was great to see a doggy back in the team, and that meant that he could play as a left centre-back and not have to do the wing-back running job because he'd just coming back, you know, kid gloves. Van der Ven is the obvious player to play there. And then it gave Spence a bit more freedom. And obviously when the red card happened, it gave him a lot more freedom. Yeah. And as you say, I think they started quite well against Burnley. They created a lot more. But then there's this lack of belief. And when all of a sudden the crowd starts to go sideways and backwards again, why isn't Thomas Frank standing there banging the drum, banging his hands together and going to them, come on, go forwards? Because crowds react to that. You know, he's there almost along with Romero going, calm, everyone, be calm. No, we're not calm. Like, we want to see them go front foot and play front foot. And then all of a sudden, as Sonny says, we're staring at it thinking, here we go again.
Look at the goal scorers. Again, our centre-halves stepping up.
It's good, though. I'm glad that our defenders can score. They just can't defend, which is always handy,
Van der Ven
isn't it?
for the...
But does that just prove that, like, Van der Ven and Romero, they're big game players. They're the guys you can rely on in that squad to pull us out. You know, once upon a time, we had a Gareth Bale to do that. We had a whole season where he kept pulling us out of the mud.
But is that a good thing? Because Romero has this tendency, maybe you can approach this from a tactics point of view, where he's wanting to play up front, and then we're conceding because he's thinking, we need to score, we need to win, we need to score, pulling the, you know, making the formation. I don't know if that's him disagreeing with Frank's approach or him being like, because we love it, like, oh yeah,
I don't think Romero knows what he's doing in that scenario. That's just what he does. You know, we were mentioning before we came on about that AC Milan game where he got sent off under Conte when he completely lost his head, and how many times has he done it since? I can hear Gary Neville in my ears, which is not very nice, is it? But no, I think that's one of the reasons I like that 3-4-3 system, because if Romero is the centre of that 3, Danzo's a sort of defender, if you like, just a defender, and then Van der Ven's got the pace to come back. And that does allow Romero to have that licence. I mean, we've seen it in previous games where he'll play the pass and then he'll carry on the run. And that's the sort of thing at the Tottenham Stadium that lifts crowds up. And look, he is erratic, and some of the defensive errors from him and the others have been pretty inexcusable. But what we've been most worried about over the last 8 to 12 weeks has been that attacking creativity, and it's been the centre half providing it. So let him go a little bit is what I say.
But then again, you say with the vulnerability at the back at times, for me, you have to look at one man as the number one. And I think that breeds a lack of confidence in that whole back line. If your goalkeeper's not at it, it's the first thing in any level of football you need to get right, because everyone knows they can't look back and rely on the goalkeeper. Why has Kinski not had a go?
I couldn't agree more. And especially when teams against us now are just going, we know they can't play through us, so we'll just drop back into that shape. And we've got a goalkeeper who, when the centre-backs do manage to drag somebody out and almost go to press on, Brighton style, go to press on, we've got a goalkeeper who kicks it out of play. You know, and look, I don't think that Kinski is anywhere near as good a shot stopper as Vicario, because otherwise he would have played, surely. But we saw him in those games he came in last year. I mean, his first touch was to dink it over Salah's head and, you know, and just land it on the left-back's foot. So he's got that ability. And if he made that change, wouldn't it show everybody else that nobody is, you know, absent, they can get away with it, and, hang on a minute, we're going to try and play. And that message that it sends to the others would be so positive. And, yeah, Vicario's done for me. I mean, look at Lamans at Man United.
Yeah.
He's not done anything, but nobody's noticed him because he's just been calm.
That's what you want from a keeper. You don't want to be bothered by them.
7 out of 10 every week.
That's what you want to see. And with Vicario, you're right in terms that he is a better shot stopper than Kinski. If you could combine the two, you probably have a half decent keeper there. But he's incredibly flappy. Always has been from corners. Gets lost, gets bullied easily off the ball in those situations. Always has been. And I also can't bear the fact that he's such a shouty keeper. Like, the amount of times I have seen him scream in Archie Gray's face or Bergval's face. And literally, if you are Alisson or if you are the greatest in the world, then sure, like, you can have all the chest you want. You're not. Just shut up and do your job. Do better. Again, there's so many parts, there's so many factors in this team that irritate me and are just like... Sorry, it's true. There isn't another word for it.
He's
incredibly irritating. He really is. And I just feel like if you've got to have leaders. It's all about leadership, right? We talk about that a lot in terms of mouthy players and who shows up. Show it on the pitch. I don't need you to go and scream in someone's face. I need to see it in your performances.
I think he's shown this since he signed, though, because I remember watching him in pre-season when we played Barcelona. And it was one of the first videos I did on my channel. And I was like, I'm worried. Why have we gone for this keeper over David Raya? Because
that works out
we
well.
signed him as like a ball-playing goalkeeper. But on the ball, he is just... He divers, he doesn't know where to, as you said, kicks it out long. I mean, the Burnley equaliser, the fact that he put so much pace on it, and Romero's got no time to even, and then the whole like sequence that leads to that goal comes from that. Yeah. I mean, the Fulham one is the one that sticks out. He has the audacity to point.
That one, absolutely right.
Unforgivable.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. Where I sit in the Tottenham Stadium, my son loves to go down to the corner in the South Stand corner where they warm up. And while the warm up was going on a few weeks back, maybe a couple of months back, Brandon Austin and Kinski are hitting these side volleys to each other, one from the corner of the box to the edge of the. And my boy Josh is 12, and he just turns around and went, Vicario would have put 12 of them in the stand. And, you know, you've got two goalkeepers who can kick it properly and one guy who's playing professional football at the highest level and he can't kick it 30 yards.
So that does beg the question about the management, right, in terms of Thomas Frank, because he's happy to play with Tell's career and show him no respect. He's happy to give Brendan Johnson no chances.
Misprofiled him the whole season.
Yeah. So why is it with that keeper... Is it because he feels like, no, that's definitely my number one and I don't want to like rock the ship with him, perhaps? I don't know, because I think if he drops Vicario, the way that guy thinks of himself, probably
it'd be the end, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be the end. But I'm happy to do that, and if he wants to go to Milan or somewhere, me and Sonny have got space in the car and we will happily drive him there today.
I think like, also when
we'll even bring our own Tic Tacs.
When we talk about ego, right, this is another thing. So, for example, obviously he's a big character in that dressing room. He looks like he's obviously very, I think...
In the leadership team.
Yeah, in terms of the leadership team, he's very close with someone like Udogie as well. And obviously you might know more than what goes on behind the scenes than we do. But if you do drop him, it's making a statement. And I'm sorry, but Thomas Frank doesn't have the balls for it. Like, there isn't another way to say that. Like, he doesn't have those balls to make those big calls about you know, being a bit more adventurous or making the right decision or, you know, dropping someone if they're not having a good performance. He just likes to drop Teo or Kolo more.
But he does show me he will do it to certain people and have no remorse.
And have no remorse because it's a safe option to do. And it reminds me of, we were talking about it just before we started, Pochettino, when he first came in, similar situation to when Arteta went to Arsenal, you've got a lot of egos and players that probably shouldn't be there and think they're above their pay grade in terms of how good they are. And Pochettino weeded those out.
We had a few of those.
Arteta weeded those out. I hate bringing up Arsenal on this pod, but it's a good example. And, you know, that's what you do. And that's how you do a rebuild and that's how you do it properly. And I feel that Thomas Frank isn't the type of bloke that is going to do that. Look, who knows, could be wrong if we see him past this season. Hopefully we don't see him past this month, but it could happen.
He did the same with Porro. Well, he's done the same with Porro. Like, he is playing too many minutes, not for his own career as well. Like, I think he looks knackered out there. But, I mean, he did, you know, hurl him off at the weekend, but I think that's been like a couple of weeks in the making.
Yeah.
He has just been absolutely shocking defensively, has to put in 500 crosses to get an assist at least. And it's just, that's the thing that gets me about our tactics as well. Why are we so keen to just keep crossing it into, you know, a team like Burnley all day, Everton all day will just bat them away, West Ham, big centre-backs, they'll just head them away. Why is he so adamant that, you know, I can't remember the last time I said this to my mate on a WhatsApp, I can't remember the last time we like went through the middle or scored like a counter or like, you know,
Can't remember.
I just feel like it's just all crosses.
The last one was Abbi Summers' sort of pirouette turn where he made it himself, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he just ran straight down the
Was
middle.
that Brentford?
Yeah, I think it was Brentford.
So we're going back, what, December?
Yeah.
Beginning of December?
Yeah, and it's or was that first? Because that was December. Because then the away game was beginning of January, wasn't it? Yeah, and look, I think he came in as a manager who had the reputation of being able to adapt his style. Correct. And, you know, and we wrote right at the beginning of it, we've had Ange Ball and now we've got adaptable. and it has, and then the first week we get PSG, it was really good, let's be honest, to see something different and to see Kudus off the front man and put some support up there. He played very central that day, Kudus. And then we go away to Manchester City and we see a different style and it's like 3 weeks in, we've seen 3 different formations. And then for the next 16 weeks, we saw the same thing.
But I don't
over and over again.
Then? Like, why is that? Because it did look promising. We were all like, OK, it might not be the sexy style of football that we all want to see, but at least it's getting results. We look half decent. We look more defensively solid. We're better at set pieces. We're better at defending corners. So where is all that? Where's all that gone? What's changed?
I think it's because what happened is that Premier League teams went, OK, Spurs are going to, under Frank, react to us and have a way every week. He's got an amazing, apparently, 48-hour meeting before he goes into games where there's an unbelievable breakdown of the opposition. A lot of these players find it too much, where there's a lot of information that's going on. But he's so well drilled on the opposition. But then what the opposition are doing is going, OK, we'll just drop back in. And we know that the Tottenham team and the way Frank sets the team up can't break that down, and that's why we see so many crosses. Yeah. Because then when it goes to that right winger and he's blocked by 3 men on the corner of the box, it comes back to Porro and he hangs it in. And Thomas Frank will not let them shoot from outside the area as well. He talks about statistics.
There was 19 crosses into the box on the weekend, so it does show that. And, you know, you mentioned just then about not shooting from outside the box. This is one of my biggest qualms with modern day football. Now, we saw Manchester United with 2 absolute worldies from outside the box.
We're good at conceding.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
No, but everyone's highlight rule will be against us.
Aston Villa are in a title race because they shoot from outside the area.
But why does he not let them shoot us? And also,
he talks about percentages. He talks about
this is my problem with modern football.
Yeah.
Percentages.
About the percentages. Put the ball in the back of the net and win the game.
Always second balls.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But I'm sorry, but also this does have to come on the players as well. I'm sorry, but if you're getting battered every single week and you're losing, who are the leaders in that just say, "Show what, sod this, sod what he's doing"?
They're Kuti scoring goals.
Yeah, but apart from him, what about the players that are actually in and around the 6-yard box or that can take a shot from outside the box? Where's the now?
They're not used to it. Like, as Dean said off air.
You should
Abbi Summers, etc. These players who are not been in the Premier League cauldron yet. This is a whole different.
I feel really sorry for Javi. I mean, you've brought him up there, and in our Sun Sports sort of Spurs WhatsApp group, there was a very PR text that was put in there about the number of chances that we've created in 2026, but then you can list the fixture list, and that's why we've created that many chances in 2026. But I feel quite sorry for Javi Simmons in this shape because I think he's one of the ones doing exactly what you say. It's almost like, Yeah, we get to a point in a game where he's standing there on the ball. He looks up and there's 10 players in front of him.
Yeah.
Nobody runs past the ball, and so he's trying to make everything happen.
And it's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely everything. And we go back to Maddison under Ange, where he would drop into a left back position, come and get the ball off the centre backs, and he'd have a doggy go from left back into the number 10 position. He'd have the left winger come out to receive it early.
To me,
he'd
like
have
both
Van
are
der
just
Ven
crazy.
flying up the outside.
Both were too crazy.
Yeah, but in
in
different
completely ends of the
Yeah.
spectrum. A complete ends of the spectrum.
And that's why I feel like they don't know if they're coming or going.
Absolutely. Spurs attempted 620 passes in this game with an 85% accuracy, well, 84.8. The highest total in a single match in the Premier League this season. So again, it does show there was some intent, and definitely with that formation change, it allows to have a little bit more intent.
Yeah.
So perhaps, hopefully, he sticks with that, because I don't see him doing it against Frankfurt, but I'd like to.
Yeah, I think there's he'll want to go back to his safety net.
Can't help it, can he?
Yeah, he will desperately.
Even though
want to
Frankfurt
go to
are
that.
in, like, where are they in the Champions League standings?
Oh, they're out.
They're out.
Now,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah.
So this is and they've got massive games. How did they get on in the weekend? I didn't even check.
I think they lost, but they got Leverkusen this weekend.
So this is an
Liverpool.
even bigger game now against Leverkusen. This should be a gimme. They should be like, oh, don't worry about Champions League, it's done anyway.
Well, they will feel like that, and I actually think they'll make some changes the other way, where they'll leave players out because they'll prioritise the
100%.
Bundesliga
And this is where go with that 3-4-3 again and be on the front foot.
and give it a good go. I mean, look, I feel again another player that I feel a little bit sorry for is Odegaard, because he's played in about, even though he's been on the team sheet consistently, he's played in about 7 different positions within that team sheet.
Yeah.
Is he a left winger? Is he a right winger? Is he a 10? Is he a left 10? Is he a right 10? It's like,
The
he's-
Dortmund games where I thought he's the best I've seen. I thought, hang about, there is a player here.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was a bit too lightweight.
And the word on the training ground is he's outstanding.
Yeah,
like in
I've heard.
training and
Yes.
stuff like that. He
Yeah.
goes past people like they're not there. He's the worst nightmare. So he's obviously got a bit of game anxiety about him, which is quite common for a young player. We don't see a Dele Alli every week, do we? Burst through and do those Dele Alli things. So he's the one who needs. When Frank talks about some players needing some help from the fans, I don't think he's trying to be fair to him there, I don't think he's trying to deflect from himself. I think there's people like Odegaard who need that little bit of help from the home fans.
Unfortunately for Thomas Frank, this is a compounded issue of the last
absolutely.
7-8 years. And so he is at the right end of it. So we have to talk about it. Where's everyone with Thomas Frank now? Let's just start with Abbi, because I know I'm going to get a definitive with Abs from the off.
I'm done. I'm so done. I gave him the benefit of the doubt after Chelsea. I did. I thought that was terrible, but I thought, no, okay, we'll give it another one. As soon as we went to Arsenal and we put that stinker of a performance in, spineless, weak, pathetic, I was like, no, I'm done, I'm out. I can see the writings on the wall here. And look, that might be too soon, but I've seen enough managers come through this club in my time to know when one's got legs and one doesn't. And for me, that just didn't have legs. And when you see it's very rare for the whole fan base to pretty much be in agreement. I know you've seen it build.
He's united the fan base against him. That's what he's literally done, hasn't he?
You've seen it build from early doors. I think also the lack of real connection between him and the fans. With Ange, it was early doors. Obviously, you had a lot of the quotes and you had just Ange energy.
Well, and you had Sheffield United at home, Liverpool
yeah,
at
that
home,
helps.
those last-minute
But also
goals,
the football that Ange played was obviously exactly what we'd want to see. Obviously, there could have been a few tweaks with that. If he would have been less stubborn, maybe he'd still have a job. But with Thomas Frank, it's not the sexy style of football, so you're already kind of on the back foot. Your results are shocking. Your tactics are shocking, which is not what we expected from you as a manager. So the comments that you make sometimes in press conferences are never going to go down well. And of course, you walked around with an Arsenal Cup. So with all that combined,
That should have been. That was the beginning of the end.
with all
Jed Spence,
everything
Van der Ven
combined,
stuff, all
yeah,
that.
it's just for me. I'm just like, I'm happy for him to stay for the City game. Obviously, you know.
Take one for the
A
team.
must lose.
You know,
It is a
it's
must lose
and
game.
in all honesty, we lose every week, so what's another one?
And then a new manager bounced for the Arsenal game.
It's exactly my thought process.
Clever.
New manager bounced. Whatever happens at United happens at United. New manager, well, it won't be whoever's the interim. Ledley King,
Yeah.
give it to Glenn Hoddle. I don't care. Whoever it is, just new energy for North London Derby. Sorted. That's
I think you're on the
that's
same
it.
lines, are you? You're done.
Do you know what it is? Abby made some good points there about managers sat for less and all that. But the managers where we weren't getting the results, you'd go, oh, it's Conte though, he's a winner. Mourinho, a winner. You know, you sort of had that. You could look at their CV. Thomas Frank hasn't won a sausage. You know, like he has not like got that CV. Like, oh yeah, he did a really good job at Brentford. I just don't think he can handle that pressure of the step up. To me, I can't. I remember when I gave up on Ange because that was Everton away because I thought that was like 3-0 down at half time. I can't remember when I gave up on Frank because the results. It just feels like we're in the end of the cycle of the same rubbish every week. I just think it's too far gone. I think I said it the other week. The only way to convince this fan base he's the one is to win the league or finish top 4. He's literally not going to do that. I feel like now, I don't know how we didn't see him sacked after this weekend. I don't know how we didn't see him sacked after West Ham. I don't know what the board are seeing to be like, no, actually, we're going to keep him on. Or they just have no other options that they can explore right now.
I mean, you might know more, but I genuinely don't think that they know what to do. I don't think that they've sorted out... I mean, the summer is something else. They'll sort out the summer. There's not actually a rush on that. But I don't think they know who to get in for interim because usually the one they call upon would be Ryan Mason. Let's not do that. So they need to have someone. They need to have someone that can come in on
Stellini.
Yeah. Oh no, not again. But someone that can also like get the fans up and be like, all right, let's just crack on for the rest of the season.
Do you think, especially with Vinay involved as well, having seen the Arteta, trust the process?
Yeah, but he won an FA Cup. Two things. Won an FA Cup, and what was that during? COVID. No fans in the stadium to boo.
True. Really
so he really had that, you know, he turned around, no one's there. Whereas we've got 60,000 fans, a couple of thousand away games going at him.
The players almost having fights with the away fans.
That's the thing. It feels like, you know, everything... I've seen so many videos now about all the embarrassing things that have happened to Spurs.
Did you not love that one I sent to the group chat last week? I thought it was the best thing ever.
The Barnaby Slater one.
I thought it was one of the best things because you just forget so many laughable moments that this club has produced.
For those that want to know what the video we're talking about, it just had so many laughable moments, didn't it?
Go and look at it. What was the guy's
Barnaby
name?
Slater.
You get a free little shout out there because it was actually genius.
So you got out. Let's
out.
And we got our full house.
We're out.
Vicky Flanagan.
I think you raised a really good point there about what the whole Vinay approach and Arteta. I think they want to believe that. Yeah. That's what they want to believe.
I agree.
Right, they're wrong, but that's what they want to believe. And what I can't ever, you know, look, I'm a journalist and I've been covering Premier League football for nearly 20 years now, and what I can't get my head around is when football clubs aren't open with their fan base, with their audience, around things like this. If the board, as they didn't under Levy as well, if the board came out now and says, Thomas Frank is our man to the end of the season, we are not going to go down, we are going to invest in the squad in January, we are backing him to do that because we are going through a huge change process. That doesn't make it easier for match-going fans to pay who pay for tickets and stuff, who try and get... But actually, it gives you something to cling on to. And you go, OK, then, I'm going to get behind Archie Gray. I'm going to get behind Lucas Bergvall. You know, bring back Mikey Moore from Rangers for crying out loud so we can get behind him as well. You know, and that gives you something to cling on to. But because it's radio silence... and it's Thomas Frank going in there repeating the same nonsense quotes about improvement and chance creation and pass completion every week.
And second balls. Every week.
Yeah, second balls. You get nothing from that. And so I think, you know, we know we've had it cast at us for years and years and years being Spurs fans, all the stuff that we get cast aspersions about being Spurs fans. But one thing that you cannot deny, Spurs fans, when they've got something to cling on to, are up there with 100%. The best. Because as soon as with Ange, it was, well, we're still in it though, aren't we? You know, as you say about dividing the fan base there, even everybody knew in the league it was unacceptable and it was terrible. But while that carrot was still there, there was something to cling on to. And with Frank, I'm sorry, I've got nothing to cling on to. I've got
nothing left.
Yeah.
Well, we actually don't have anything left. Yeah. Like, we really don't.
I'm struggling, you know, and I think Bilbao plays into that as well. The highest of highs, you know, and for me, 35 years of going and that weight that we had to do that in Bilbao, then afterwards, it's almost like
it was for nothing.
Exhale.
And it almost feels like it's for nothing, doesn't it now? Because we had all those moments and you wanted to go into this season excited about the future.
So should we have kept Ange then?
You know, we was all Ange out.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, and I said it, when he did the third season lyric at the parade...
Should we have just taken a punt?
I went, you know what?
I think we would have been in the same situation, though.
I think he would have been sacked by October, but would it have kept the vibes for longer?
Well, I think that I actually tweeted this right after the parade, as I was on the train back from the parade, and when I finally got my son off my shoulders, and we were back on the train afterwards in that absolute crush. And I actually said, if we sack Ange now, we'll be asking what if. Whereas if we'd left him in, we'd have known.
Look, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And we have obviously this fan base of. I've seen so many different tweets and a lot of revisionism and Ange deserved better and this and that. And of course we can sit there and say that because look at how it's turned out. But if Thomas Frank would have come in and hit the ground running, none of us would have given Ange a second thought.
No.
Let's be honest, we would have still said thank you so much for the European trophy. Thanks for the first 10 games of that first season, and
But that's the point though. That's exactly you nailed it there because it's that feeling, isn't it? It's the feeling of what you're buying into something because we literally are. We're buying tickets.
But with that, with exactly what you say, it's a feeling of buying into something. This is why, not to keep going on about Pochettino, because I'm sure we will continue to go on about Pochettino for the next however many months till we resolve everything. But it is a bit of a what-ifism. Like, what if he comes back and finishes the job he started? What if he comes back and finally gets the backing he deserves? What if, what if it all works out?
Well, I was going to bring that as my next point because if Thomas Frank is to be sacked, we need a plan, right?
Yeah.
And, this is why, again, I think if results are going to be bad in the next, obviously we've got Frankfurt, City, is it Newcastle before?
United,
then Newcastle.
Who were bouncing, right?
Arsenal.
I think if the results ain't great in those three, I think he's gone. I do think he's gone. But I'm almost up for just letting him roll out to the end of the season because there's nothing... At the moment, there's still the Champions League on the table, but that's not happening, right?
I'd like to think that they've tried. Maybe they haven't, because we've discussed some of the things they're very bad at. I would have liked to think they've tried to go to Glasner, who is out at Palace at the end of the season anyway, who has nothing left on his contract, so it wouldn't cost any money. Why not go to him and say, just do us to the end of the season? I mean, it'd be ruthless on Palace.
It would be ruthless.
But we're now playing your formation. You've got that squad.
Come win the
Champions League.
Come in and just give it a go. And so, I don't know if any of you were at that Palace game before they went to win the FA Cup last season. When they stuffed us at the Tottenham Stadium. I don't know. Again, we were thinking about Bilbao, but they were thinking about Wembley.
Yeah.
And they just tore us apart. And I'd like to think they'd look. I'm not Glasner's agent here, and Palace fans are going to kill me.
Because of Brendan Johnson.
They can't believe that's their record.
Yeah, we're just trolling them.
I think it's a nice idea. I don't know if he'd do it.
No, I don't think it comes as an interim.
I think realistically, Iraola's out of contract as well, isn't he? End of the summer.
It's going to be a massive.
I am definitely once bitten, twice shy with those managers who are playing at the ball.
Yeah, I get that.
And again, we've been linked with, Tim Sherwood had his gilet on earlier talking about De Zerbi.
Take it off.
Yeah?
De Zerbi, no. Never going to work. Because he's so explosive.
I'd sooner have Tim Sherwood back.
Oh, that's a bit far.
Genuine. I used to love his little salute with Adebayor.
I genuinely would have it till the end of the season. I would rather have that. I would.
Defoe. Just bring anyone in. Someone doing the badges.
Listen, didn't Harry said he'd do West Ham for free? Surely he'd do us for free.
I would honestly not be against that.
Even with Jamie O'Hara, when he says about getting Harry and he goes, at least he just all that dressing room needs.
Look at Martin O'Neill.
It needs, like you said, one thing that Spurs aren't built on is percentages and the finer details. It's never been about that. Ricky Vidia's goal against City, it wasn't about percentages. It was that that's the whole to dare to do.
I've gone the other way with Harry though, because I know Harry and we work with him at our place and I love him to bits. He's just but I don't want him to go back in there because I don't want them to ruin him.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Do you know what?
You want to protect Harry at all costs.
Yeah, and I don't see it being something that Harry. I honestly, enthusiasm, yes, and getting the fans on side, yes, but
I worry about that with Poch.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, this brings us all back round to the Pochettino question because we've had a hard Frank out. Now the Pochettino one is going to be interesting because you've been on the fence.
Yeah.
Me and Abbi have been very much Poch in. I'm going to stake my claim as to why I think Pochettino should come back to the Tottenham Hotspur. We've gone through, and I've said this before, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but we've gone through every kind of manager. The A-listers. The Conte's an A-lister for me. Mm-hmm. And so's Jose. Even though he's not necessarily at the top of the A-list anymore, he still is Jose Mourinho, yeah? They come to the club and they almost do it like, this is a favour for you. But I'm better than you. It's like having a gorgeous partner and them going to all the time, look at my DMs. Look who's in there again. Any moment I could leave you and you're just like, please don't leave me, I love you, you're great, right? So we've had that. That doesn't bode well.
That's why I go to the gym, just to keep my missus on side.
Yeah, exactly. then you've got the Nunos, the Anges, and then the Thomases, like and then us as fan bases turn into absolute idiots and we're better than you. I don't like feeling like that.
I get you.
And I don't think we're in a position to give that.
Agreed.
And that's why other fan bases look at us and go, who do you think you are? Because we do give off an air of arrogance when we're looking at Thomas Frank, who, as we all agree, is a good manager.
Yeah.
And a good man as well.
And that's the other thing. We don't want to pile on someone and be like that. I don't want to feel like that towards Thomas Frank. I've always liked him. But again, as we feel, it's maybe not right for you.
Yeah.
Then there's this beautiful Argentinian man.
Beautiful
Who
Argentina.
just sits on TV every time there's an opportunity, almost in tears, going, before I die, I just want to manage Tottenham. Like, this man wants us. The feeling of being wanted.
It's so
right?
nice.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is
Tell me, when you see him, do you see him in slow motion?
all the time. All the time.
With their hair.
Listen, there was a few, everyone goes, yeah, but you forget how the football was at the end of his tenure. He'd already started coming out against the board saying, we know the whole quotes about it's a lovely house with no furniture. Before the Champions League final, that weird thing he said, if I win the Champions League, I should leave because it's the highest I can achieve. He was digging out the board, going, we're not putting anything in. Everything that was given to Pochettino was no backing. There was nothing for him. It was difficult at the time because everyone said, even within journalistic spaces, how do you improve that starting 11? You couldn't. But that's not the point. You need to have the squad. We bring it back to Arsenal. They've got a squad right now. So if Arteta fails with that squad, there's a problem. There's no excuses. He didn't have a squad. And I always remember that game against Chelsea where Son played wing-back, right? Yeah. It was 2-2. And I remember when they announced the team sheet, Conte left Hazard and Diego Costa on the bench, and we thought, he's lost the plot, we're going to win this. 72 minutes on, they bring Costa on and Hazard. I think we brought on Chadley and included.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I was like, that's the difference. And I think now, Pochettino walks into a different Spurs squad with a lot more quality than what he came into first time round.
Absolutely.
With the ability to improve those players like he improved the players who were... People forget, Kyle Walker and Danny Rose were improved under Poch.
Yeah.
Because they were there at the club before. You know, Kyle Walker, when he first started, he's gone on to be one of the best right-backs of all time in the Premier League. I used to always remember him just could never look over his shoulder. There was always someone behind him giving away goals. So he improves players. I think knowing from the inside as well how he trains players and the intensity of it and his attention to detail from training sessions, he used to record training sessions. And if people were off talking and that, he'd ask people, what they've been talking about? Is everything okay? He had eyes on everything. And that's why, for me, I think Pochettino is the only person that can come in and both parties need to scratch that itch.
I totally agree with you. Everything you've said is everything I've been saying. Like, I think that with him, he just fits. We get it with each other. Like, there are factors why it didn't work out the first time. It's like being in a relationship, isn't it? Like, sometimes you need to go on a break, or sometimes you need to break up and go sow your oats, and then you come back together because you realise you're actually meant to be, and you give it another crack.
I can see those Friends memes already.
Yeah.
We was on a break.
We was on a break. But it's so obvious. Look, obviously, he wants to come back. You don't sit there and say 6 years later, you know, how, like, we still talk about it. You don't sit there as Chelsea manager, which, okay, we let that off because he didn't do so well at Chelsea, really.
And
you don't.
He was waiting for the call.
Of course
and
he was.
We didn't give him the
call.
call.
We didn't give him the call and we messed him around and he ended up going to Chelsea, and that's that. But, you know, while the day before a derby, you sit there and you say, you know, you're talking about Spurs, like you're a Chelsea manager. Like, that would never happen if that was a real Chelsea manager. I think we can forgive and forget that as well. Most of us don't even think about it anymore. But
I think the guy's got broad shoulders as well. He's worked under Levy, Abramovich, and now Trump. I
just think it would be totally different this time. I think last time also what was the problem? Obviously Daniel Levy generally, but like the lack of control. Yeah. And this time you come back in a way that you have control. You're more of a Klopp, you're more of a Pep figure at Tottenham. And otherwise I wouldn't come back unless I was going to have control over transfers or control and a lot more say than what he had the first time round, because he earned that the first time and he wasn't given it. And in my opinion, it has to be him. It's the only way that we move forward.
So let's find out from Dean, because we're interested to hear how you feel about that.
I feel that I still hold a lot of what ifs about Pochettino. I do feel that he didn't change at the end and he needed to, and we should have won the league. Like, you know, and there's two schools of thought there. One is, if they'd have brought a striker, if they'd have given him a striker in the January, then we'd have won it, because the Kane injury and everything that happened after that. Like, I wanted Defoe went back to Sunderland, didn't he? In that, and I wanted Defoe back. Even if he'd only played 10 minutes in 5 games, he'd have scored a goal that would have won us a game that might have got us across the line. I'm thinking Leicester at home, where Morgan scored that header. You know, we had so many chances in that game, and one of them falls to Jermaine Defoe, we win it. So there's that element with Poch as well, which the what ifs. I'm going to be accused of being way over positive here, right? I really feel like this football club's ready to explode. Like they've done to give Levy the credit in the background for the stadium and all the base business work, right? They're ready to sell.
100%.
They've just put the 18, 19, 20-year-olds into the squad who are very, very good but shouldn't be starting.
Yeah.
And now the final piece is to go, here is £350 million to spend in a summer and go and give a manager the squad that it wants. And the reason that I'm starting to teeter back to Poch when a year ago I was like, no, is I think that the only man that they can trust with that is somebody like Poch, because then the fans would be on his side from the start. But the money's there. Yeah. The money is there. And they didn't trust Ange to do it, too erratic. They don't trust Thomas Frank to do it because he's got no history in that market of spending that money on those players. They worked in a Benham and analyst numbers game at Brentford, so it was all about... And look, that was very successful. It was amazing, but it was based on numbers and metrics, not on let's go and take... Look, when Poch came in, you mentioned the players that are already there, but then we brought in Premier League proven players, OK? We're talking Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Dembele, and then you add to that your sprinkling of Eriksen. And look, they got lucky with Delhi, didn't they? Yeah. But, then there was Harry there as well. And Son, yeah. But they added Premier League class to a group that was ready to go. Yeah. Wanyama was another one who was vastly underrated, in my opinion, from a Spurs fan's perspective, because he just came into games you needed him to play and do a job at Anfield.
Obviously, was clearly identified by Poch because he was one of his players.
Absolutely right, yeah. And look, even Sissoko, and I know he became a bit of a clown figure at the end, but he played like Premier League games. He'd been through the divisions. Yeah. He was. If at this point...
Trippier as well.
Yeah, Trippier was another one. There was those players they brought in, and if you're going to trust a manager with an enormous budget, you need to trust the manager.
Yeah.
Right, so, and at the moment, I think he'd be the only one who they'd be, yes, we trust you. Yeah. Look at the signings under Mourinho and look at the signings under Conte. There was a lot of self-interest going on there.
Oh, 100%.
And they were buying players that they had previously that they just fancied would do a short-termist job for them in those
Probably
scenarios.
Probably more with Conte than
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But this could be... This is the one where if they get this decision right, then it's ready to explode. And if they get it wrong, we could be Aston Villa in the Championship.
Absolutely, agree with that. It's a beautiful surprise that to see you on board. So, Sonny, you're the only ones left to convince.
He's my number 2.
Who's
your number 1?
So... I'm going to word this in a particular way. When, not if, when Manchester United get rid of Carrick, because, Neville and Keane and all the old heads have already, at the weekend, were like, Carlo Ancelotti, Tuchel. They want that big name.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be going for a big name like any of those. I mean, Pochettino I like. I think I'm warming to that. But I'm just thinking he's got that association with the club. I feel like his time at Spurs was really underrated. He's got a massive...
He wasn't there very long.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, but even after West Ham, he improved a lot from West Ham. Then he obviously went up to another level at United. I just think with what we've seen at, his first spell as interim, got results off Emery, Tuchel and Arteta. He's done it again against Pep and Arteta and played a really dynamic attacking football. His time at Borough, he did actually lift them up. I know he missed out on the playoffs and all that, but Borough... They're a bit of a confusing club with the way they're run, but,
He's used to confusing clubs then.
Well, there you are then. I just feel like my only other thing is if Poch... I'm a bit... With Poch, I'm just worried if he comes back in and it does go a bit wrong again, then we're we're tarnishing his legacy from before. Whereas with Carrick, he's a young project. So, we called Ange and Frank project managers, but they're on the older side of their life and all that. Whereas Carrick's young, he's hungry, he's got that experience as playing under Fergie, which we need a bit of man management as well in that squad to be telling people what to do. He's got a really good mind when it comes to tactics as well. He's just coming to 2 games. I know the manager bounce is a myth and what is it actually? But I think to have back-to-back results against City and Arsenal. And play how they did and make the players like Dorgu look like, the new Gareth Bale, you could say. I feel like that is the manager for me who can come into this club and rip it all up and we start again. A bit like when Pochettino came in first of all. That's where I'm thinking.
I just think if Man United do go on half a bit of a run, they'll keep him.
I don't think they will.
I don't know if they will. I think they're a bit scarred from the Ole.
Yeah, but I think this is a bit different, especially that, as well as having Holland there in the background as well. It's almost...
I think I'm not disagreeing with you. I would be open to having Carrick. That, again, probably the other way around. That probably wouldn't be my first choice. But again, that is a project, and you've got to be patient.
The reason why I go with the Poch one now is I don't want to wait another 4 or 5 years when he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
I think this is the...
I think that's a really incisive point, because I think that is on the edge with Poch now, because that is kind of what I was sort of alluding to when I talked about Harry there, is that if you're out of the game for even a short period of time now, it's moving on so fast. The way that the analysts work, the way that sports science works. You know, we had the whole Amorim thing of, was he the manager or the head coach? That is a really big thing in football now. And Pochettino, even now, it's been a while.
Yeah, but obviously
it's been a while.
International football is obviously different, but they've got a great team in terms of them and their coaching staff. But I think that you're right. I think with the Poch thing, it's like now or never. I think this is it. Like
Tuchel will be available in June.
Again, I don't think there's.
I think what helps with the Carrick as well is Alex Crook reported we wanted him as interim, but then Man United got in there first, and then also Jonathan Woodgate.
I know.
So bring that Spurs family back.
Let's really talk about transfers because there was obviously the sort of the Robertson thing. When we recorded last time. Literally, the news broke as we finished. Yeah. So we didn't get to talk about it. Looks like it's not going to happen, or is it in the balance?
It just comes down to Liverpool trying to, plug a gap in their team. I mean, I feel like they still don't trust Milos Kerkez. They have to get Shimikas back from Roma. Roma then have to sign a replacement. So it is really confusing. I'll tell you what I liked about this transfer. There was 2 things. One, leadership quality coming in and probably would be a strong contender to start. And 2, the willingness to pay him 160k a week and match his wages and make him a top earner. Because then what you're doing is, and I think the club are doing this, and I think this is what Dean's making a good point at about like exploding.
Yeah, on the cusp.
Is that we're paying over for Conor Gallagher, giving him wages. So they are willing to spend a bit of money now.
In the Semenyo transfer, we offered him the most wages.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're now trying to, flog a dead horse, aren't you? And go like, come to Tottenham. I was burning down. So there is that issue of, maybe why did we go in for a player that Liverpool are still a bit reluctant to sell? So that's the bit where I flip on its head and go, it is questionable why we're going for this transfer.
I think it's quite a good sign of that. Well, for the first time, we can be quite opportunistic. Like I forgive the club for Eze because of Eze's Arsenal connection. Right? That we were leading that race, and it was only one club that could have ruined it for us. Yeah. But in this sense, in the Robertson one, I think it's quite like he's and his agent are obviously going, we need to play World Cup coming up. Look, he's going to start for Scotland, whatever happens, but he needs to be in the best shape possible. Yeah. And Spurs have gone, that would work. Yeah. The same as they did with Gallagher. Yeah. Look, Javi Simmons, for his highs and his lows so far, was a very fast work after everything else fell apart. So there are some good signs there, and I liked it. I mean, as soon as Ben Davies got injured, there's a real lack of leaders. Well. Yeah, there's a homegrown thing. The latter stages of the Champions League as well.
And as you said about the whole buying the Premier League players that are proven.
Absolutely.
That's the kind, and the same with Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
So again,
by the way, he's only 31.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had an issue with that. I don't think it was necessarily like the most. Obviously, we signed that Sousa as well, but I mean, whether or not he plays is another story. But most likely. But yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't have been my first thought of what to do in the window. I would have thought, with the fact that we've got no attacking options really, and we're very limited. Like that probably would have been an area I would have thought we would have done. Not sat here on the 27th of Jan, and still don't. Do we know when Kulusevski's back? Do we know? Like there is again, the radio silence on that is crazy.
The only other good signs for the future, as you said, you're making me quite positive today with that whole explosion.
That's what I'm here for, mate.
Yeah, is because getting rid of Deadwood. Something Spurs haven't done very well. We're trying to get rid of Dragusin. Mawani, apparently, we're looking to terminate the loan there.
Yeah, how much room you got in the car? We'll drive him.
I know, there's a few. And the one which is mad is Kinski on a loan to West Ham, which is close, because we all think, come on, like, we need to look at that position. But just on the Mawani one, considering we took Timo Werner, right? The fact that we're going, no, you can't come here and not impress her, and we bought Mattel as well. You can't come here, not do anything. Like, because that's another thing before, at least like Nkudu, Njai, all these players that didn't really do anything, Vincent Janssen, we got rid of them.
Yeah.
We have a problem in the last 5-6 years, because we earned for exciting managers, Brian Hill.
Ndombele, how many loans did they have to sanction
let them go on
before
a
they
free-
got
we've
him?
looked-
We're doing that
Go on
now,
a free
though,
and-
because Bissouma's come in and everyone's like, oh, is he our best midfielder now? Get rid of
He's
him
not been
and
good enough.
Richarlison and all those players.
It needs
That's a summer job, isn't
Yeah,
it? A lot
yeah.
of them are a summer job.
Oh, right, listen. We can a bit happier thing now because the Champions League, we've been actually good in this
We
year.
are
have.
the 5th best team in Europe.
We're the 5th best team in Europe. Frankfurt, I want some predictions. Let's start with you, Dean.
I think we'll win the game. I think he's found a way of grinding it out in Europe. And as I say, Frankfurt aren't very good. They're having an even worse time in their league than we are. And also now they don't care about the Champions League because they're out. So I think a narrow win, if not a draw, which obviously could see us in the automatic qualifying place.
3-4-3?
I hope so. I hope so, because I'd like to just see them now say we played well against Dortmund. We should have won against Burnley, but didn't for the chances created, as we mentioned about the goalkeeper having a day out. And so let's go for it and be attacking in an away game with the same formation, I think.
Abby?
I fancy us to draw this. I think also just I just fancy that. I could be wrong. It'd be great if we could just qualify, wouldn't it? It really would. I think it's also just the injuries and stuff, like the fact that we've really only got 12 players to pick from.
Again.
Again. Run it back again. I'll go with a draw.
I'll go 2-0 win. I feel like
I'm with you.
I feel like it'd be a good performance because we've just seen in the Champions League that these teams come on to us a bit more. They're at home. They've got to impress a bit, haven't they, Frankfurt? They can't just roll over. But I just think it will paper over more cracks.
I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, guys. That's all we've got time for this week on Inside Spurs. A huge thank you to Sonny, Abby, and Dean. Until next time, up the Spurs.